At the crossroads of continents, where Asia greets Europe, lies a land carved by empires and shaped by nature's extremes. This is Turkey, a country where history whispers from stone ruins and living traditions thrive in vibrant streets. From the surreal landscapes of Cappadocia's fairy chimneys to the turquoise waters of the Mediterranean coast. From the echoes of ancient Troy to the bustling heart of Istanbul, once Constantinople, city of emperors and sultans. Turkey is not just a bridge between East and West. It is a mosaic of cultures, faiths, and landscapes. Here, volcanic mountains rise over plains where wild horses still roam. Underground cities hide secrets of civilizations thousands of years old, and markets overflow with spices, colors, and voices that tell the story of centuries of trade. This is a land of contrasts: deserts and snow peaks, mosques and churches, the call to prayer and the sound of modern life. Every corner of Turkey carries a hidden story waiting to be uncovered. Join us as we explore the unseen side of Turkey, where mystery, beauty, and history collide. This is Mek Crater Lake, one of Turkey's strangest natural landmarks. Few visitors know it was born from a volcanic eruption nearly 4 million years ago. The central cone you see today is actually a second eruption, rising from the middle of the lake, earning it the nickname volcano within a volcano. For centuries, caravans of the Silk Road passed not far from here. Traders would stop by the lake, believing its waters carried protective powers against the dangers of the desert. Mek is just one reminder that Turkey's landscape is as ancient as its civilizations. From here, our journey moves across a country where every mountain, ruin, and city hides untold history waiting to be uncovered. On the shores of the Mediterranean, where the waves of southern Turkey meet the ruins of Side, stand the surviving columns of the Temple of Apollo. The temple was strategically placed facing the sea, not for beauty alone, but so sailors returning from distant voyages would first see Apollo's columns rising against the horizon. For them, it was a beacon of safety. Archaeologists discovered that Side was once a major port of the ancient Pamphylia region. It was infamous for slave trade and pirates before becoming a prosperous Roman city. This is Lake Tuz, one of the largest salt lakes in the world, and one of the saltiest bodies of water anywhere on Earth. Few people know that nearly 70% of Turkey's table salt still comes from this single lake. For centuries, its salt pans have supplied empires, from the Byzantines to the Ottomans. In summer, the lake almost disappears. The shallow waters evaporate, leaving behind a blinding white salt crust that stretches for miles, creating the illusion of a frozen landscape in the middle of central Anatolia. Historically, locals believed the lake had healing properties. Salt from Tuz was once used in folk medicine, and even preserved food carried along the Silk Road. High above the Mediterranean coast, in the mountains of Lycia, flames rise endlessly from cracks in the rock. This is Mount Chimera, a place where fire has burned for thousands of years without ever being lit. The flames are caused by natural gas seeping through the earth, but to the ancients, this was no ordinary phenomenon. The Greeks believed this was the lair of the mythical Chimera, a fire-breathing beast with the body of a lion, the head of a goat, and the tail of a serpent. It was here, legend says, that the hero Bellerophon defeated the monster, riding the winged horse Pegasus. What makes this place even more remarkable is its endurance. Geologists have confirmed that these flames have been burning for at least 2,500 years, possibly much longer. Towering over the Mediterranean coast, Alanya Castle stretches across a rocky peninsula, its walls running for more than 6 kilometers, enclosing one of the best-preserved fortresses in Turkey. What few know is that these walls were first built by the Byzantines, then expanded by the Seljuk Sultan Alaeddin Keykubat in the 13th century, after he captured the city in 1221. It was he who renamed the city Alaye, leaving his mark on its history. An unknown fact is that parts of the castle's walls were built using stones taken from ancient Roman structures nearby, making the fortress a layered monument of civilizations. High in the Taurus Mountains, nearly 1,500 meters above sea level, lie the ruins of Sagalassos, once called the City in the Clouds. Few travelers reach this place today, but 2,000 years ago, it was one of the most important cities of the Roman province of Pisidia. Archaeologists have uncovered grand theaters, temples, and baths built on terraces carved directly into the mountainside. The most striking is the Antonine Fountain, restored from its original Roman stones, and still flowing with spring water after 1,800 years. This is Pamukkale, the cotton castle of Turkey. Its white terraces are made not of snow, but of travertine, created over thousands of years as mineral-rich hot springs cascaded down the mountainside, leaving behind gleaming pools of calcium carbonate. What few know is that these springs have been flowing for at least 2 millennia, and their waters were once considered sacred. The ancient Greeks and Romans built the city of Hierapolis directly above Pamukkale, turning it into a healing center where emperors, generals, and common travelers came to bathe. Pamukkale is not only a natural wonder, but also a cultural crossroads, a place where geology, mythology, and empire all converged. On the edge of Antalya, the Dudin River plunges directly into the Mediterranean Sea, a rare natural spectacle where fresh water meets the salt waves in a thunderous fall. Few realize that these waters begin their journey high in the Taurus Mountains, fed by underground streams that pass through caves and limestone channels before re-emerging here. The name Dudin itself comes from the old Turkish word for a sinkhole, a reminder of how the river disappears underground for long stretches before reappearing as a cascade. An unknown fact is that the lower Dudin Falls, the ones that plunge into the sea, are nearly 40 meters high, making them one of the few major waterfalls in the world that empty directly into an ocean or sea. The roar of the water was even used by Ottoman sailors as a landmark when approaching the harbor. Just a few kilometers from the Mediterranean coast, the Manavgat River plunges into a wide cascade, creating one of Turkey's most visited waterfalls. Unlike tall, narrow falls, Manavgat spreads out in a broad curtain of foaming water. Nearby tea gardens and shaded terraces make this a favorite stop for travelers exploring Antalya. Though not very high, its sheer power and beauty have made it a natural landmark of the region. Across Anatolia's plains, horseback riders charge through the snow, reviving a tradition that goes back more than 800 years. This is Sirit, the Turkish sport of mounted javelin. Few know that Sirit was more than a game. It began as a military exercise among Turkic tribes, training young warriors to throw spears with precision while controlling their horses at full speed. By the 16th century, it had become the most popular equestrian sport of the Ottoman Empire. An unknown fact is that some villages in eastern Turkey still raise horses specifically bred for Sirit, preserving bloodlines tied to ancient Central Asian steeds. Jutting into the Mediterranean, the rocky peninsula of Alanya looks like a natural fortress rising from the sea. Its steep cliffs hide dozens of sea caves, once used by pirates to store stolen goods and even to hold prisoners. Few visitors know that this peninsula was settled long before the Seljuks built their great castle on top. Beside Lake Van, the ruins of Alat stretch across the landscape, a silent reminder of a city that was once among the most important in all of Anatolia. In the Middle Ages, Alat was known as the Dome of Islam, a key stronghold of the Seljuks and later the Ayyubids. Its position along trade routes made it a hub of culture, architecture, and learning. Travelers described it as a city of palaces, mosques, and gardens, a jewel on the shores of the Great Lake. The city faced repeated destruction. Mongol invasions in the 13th century, followed by earthquakes that leveled entire neighborhoods. Yet each time, it rose again, though never regaining its full glory. A city of silence, where thousands of monumental tombstones stand across the fields. This is the Alat Seljuk Cemetery, one of the largest Islamic necropolises in the world. At the heart of Turkey's Mediterranean coast lies Antalya, a city where Roman harbors, Seljuk fortifications, and Ottoman houses stand beside modern boulevards. The Roman-era Hidirlik Tower still stands guard on these cliffs, while modern Antalya stretches across the horizon. Few cities in the world are framed so sharply between ancient history and turquoise sea. Today, it is one of the most visited destinations in Europe, yet much of its history still whispers from the stones of its old town, Kaleiçi. Antalya is known as a summer escape, but beneath the modern skyline lies a city shaped by over 2,000 years of history. Even the bustling marina sits on the footprint of an ancient Roman harbor, where merchant ships once brought silk and spices from Asia. What appears to be a modern resort city is, in truth, a living museum, where every street rests on forgotten layers of empire. Between the towns of Kaş and Kalkan, the cliffs of Antalya's coast open suddenly to reveal a hidden paradise. Cappadocia Beach, a narrow cove where turquoise waters meet golden sand. What few know is that this beach was not formed by the sea alone. It lies at the mouth of a deep gorge, carved by underground rivers flowing through the Taurus Mountains. Over centuries, erosion cut a path through the limestone, creating the steep canyon and the small delta of sand that became Cappadocia. The coastal road above, now famous for its breathtaking views, was only built in the mid-20th century, opening this once isolated cove to travelers. Seen from the air, it looks like a secret oasis between mountains and sea, a reminder of how nature can hide its most beautiful treasures in the most unlikely places. Istanbul, a city built where two continents meet. For more than 2,600 years, it has been known as Byzantium, Constantinople, and now Istanbul, once the capital of three empires, Roman, Byzantine, and Ottoman. Its skyline reflects layers of history rising above the Bosphorus. Dominating that skyline is the Sultan Ahmet Mosque, known worldwide as the Blue Mosque. Completed in 1616, its interior glows with over 20,000 hand-painted Iznik tiles, each one unique. The mosque was engineered with a balance of light and space. Over 200 stained glass windows, once filled with Venetian glass, and giant chandeliers suspended by chains, lighting a prayer hall that could hold 10,000 worshippers at once. Outside, its courtyard is the largest of any Ottoman mosque, and its 6 slender minarets make it one of the most recognized landmarks of Istanbul. Even today, it remains both a place of daily prayer and one of the most visited sacred sites in the world. High in the mountains of eastern Turkey stands the Ishak Pasha Palace, a fortress-like residence completed in the late 18th century. What makes it remarkable is its design, a rare fusion of Ottoman, Persian, and Armenian architecture, blending domes, stone carvings, and defensive walls into one structure. Clinging to the slopes of southeastern Anatolia, the city of Mardin looks more like a golden stone fortress than a settlement. Its terraced houses, built from limestone, reflect the light of the sun and give the entire city its glowing appearance. What makes Mardin unique is its mix of cultures. For centuries, it stood at a crossroads of Assyrian, Arab, Kurdish, Armenian, and Ottoman traditions, each leaving behind churches, mosques, and monasteries. In the bazaars of Turkey, traditions are still hammered into metal and measured in spices. Hand-carved copperware and brass tools echo a craft passed down for centuries, once traded along the Silk Road. Here, tea is not just a drink, but a ritual, brewed slowly in sand, a method that creates a rich flavor known since Ottoman times. Beside it, sweets like lokum and freshly baked bread remind travelers that food is as much a part of history as stone and marble. And when night falls, the whirling dervishes take the stage. Their turning dance, a form of Sufi meditation, dates back over 700 years. In southeastern Turkey lies Şanlıurfa, a city many call the birthplace of civilizations. Just outside it stands Harran, famous for its beehive-shaped houses. These mud brick domes have been in use for over 3,000 years, designed to keep cool in the scorching summers and warm in the winter. Their form is so efficient that they require almost no timber, a vital innovation in a treeless plain. For centuries, it was a center of learning, home to one of the world's oldest universities, where astronomy and philosophy were studied in the early Islamic era. Today, the beehive houses still stand as living testaments to human adaptation, faith, and knowledge on the Mesopotamian frontier. In the heart of Anatolia lies Cappadocia, a land shaped by fire and time. Millions of years ago, volcanic eruptions covered this plateau with ash and lava. Wind and rain carved the rock into valleys, and the strange stone pillars now called the fairy chimneys. Cappadocia is not only a land of history, it's also a land of adventure. The region is famous for its cave hotels, where ancient stone dwellings have been transformed into luxury suites. Guests sleep beneath arches carved centuries ago, with views over valleys that glow at sunrise. In the valleys of Cappadocia lies the Göreme Open Air Museum, a UNESCO World Heritage Site carved entirely into volcanic rock. For the adventurous, Cappadocia offers more than its iconic hot air balloons. Visitors explore the land on horseback, following trails once used by Silk Road caravans. Others hike through valleys with names like Love, Rose, and Pigeon, where every turn reveals hidden chapels and rock formations. From underground cities to sky-high journeys, Cappadocia invites travelers to experience history not as something distant, but as something you can sleep in, walk through, and fly above. Carved high into the cliffs of Lycia, the rock tombs of Myra date back more than 2,000 years. The Lycians believed the souls of the dead would be carried to the afterlife by winged creatures. Each facade resembles a miniature temple, complete with columns and carvings, cut directly into the mountain. Hidden in the mountains of eastern Anatolia thunders Tortum Waterfall, one of the tallest in Turkey, dropping nearly 50 meters in a single cascade. Formed centuries ago when a landslide blocked the Tortum River, it created both the waterfall and the vast lake behind it. In spring, when snowmelt swells the river, the falls unleash their full power, shaking the valley with mist and thunder. High on the plains of eastern Turkey, at the foot of Mount Ararat, known in legend as the resting place of Noah's Ark, sheep graze freely across the wide meadows. Here, on the shores of Lake Salda in Burdur, the turquoise waters meet dazzling white beaches rich in minerals. Often called the Maldives of Turkey, this lake is more than just beautiful. It's one of the clearest and deepest in the country, shaped by volcanic activity and ancient geological forces. Scientists even study Salda's shoreline for clues about life on Mars. And with this breathtaking view, our journey comes to an end. Thank you for joining us on this adventure. If you enjoyed exploring with us, don't forget to subscribe to Tranquil Travel 4K for free and be part of our growing family. Tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? Until next time, may your travels be filled with mystery, beauty, and discovery.